Isn't this why the previous generation was a bit happier? Like they weren't internalizing their suffering, and the word trauma wasn't even in their culture, it wasn't trending. And of course it shows as neglected emotions and our parents unconsciously hurting people because they haven't realized their childhood traumas. But aren't we taking it too far? Aren't we suffering by calling every psyche hiccup an anxiety disorder because we're so scared of feeling anxious and spending our attention and money away on the system that was designed and built to monetize our suffering? And of course I'm not telling you to thug it out constantly or sweep your pain under the rug, but maybe we could learn from the past and not repeat history by evolving, implementing balance, learning from mistakes of both generations. And I know that it sounds counterintuitive because I constantly assist you with healing, and all I'm here for is to help us create and evolve and heal. It seems like we need healing from healing now. We could all just simplify it and focus on the basics. Learn from the history, analyze more by analyzing less. I'm usually talking from experience, and this time I really want to reflect on how much we dig up traumas, how much we get caught up in these cycles of perfecting our mental state, even though we're like nature. We're going to be waning and waxing like the moon, and every time that we feel like we're lower, we've been taught to view it as something innately wrong with us. I touched on this in my video about derealization. If we were taught to manage stress as it appears in our life, we would be so regulated systematically, a natural response to just go and breathe. What I want to talk about right now is how healing is a trap. Healing is an obsession. Healing is a self-sabotaging technique that might or might have not been used against us. And we've all been trapped in this constant cycle of feeling like we're not healed enough, like we're not healthy enough, like we're just worse than all of these enlightened, healthy girls or gym bros or self-improvement freaks or like all these businessmen. Anyone who's above us is an authority figure. We've been taught to worship people who have it figured out. Well, none of us have it figured out. If we don't tame our egos, and if we can't admit that we will never be healed, we will never be perfect, we will never reach this destination of enlightenment or a certain point in self-improvement or a self-love journey that we really crave, we will never get there because it's all a journey. We are constantly healing. Let's start from the fact that we don't need to heal. We are perfect. We just have cycles within our lives, within our systems, within nature that we go through. Normalizing them, learning how to navigate them will help us recenter our attention on what's actually important. Constantly compare ourselves to people who are providing value. And it's so important to find balance between being tapped in with yourself, having discernment, or on the other side, just being consumed completely by the fact that your life is so different. Everything is for attention and money. And because we live in this beautiful generation that provides all these resources, all these spaces for us to learn, it's more responsibility on us to learn new ways, how to manage our minds, how to regulate our emotions and our decisions so that we can use it instead of being used. Authenticity is almost not a thing in this space. It's very rare to see someone who admits that they are healing, that they are in the process of figuring it out, and they will always be, because to sell more, you need to be credible. You need to have it figured out. To be the masculine figure that preaches, strong family values and knows everything about business and knows how to support a family, logically would seem that you need to appear as the strongest, the biggest, the smartest, with absolutely no flaws. But that's not the truth, because a truly intuitive woman would not be attracted to that type of ego, because a truly intuitive woman sees fear in that and is not attracted to that fear. Do you see what I'm saying? It's very imbalanced. This type of idealistic, authority-based approach was designed specifically to capitalize on our suffering, to capitalize on an issue and bringing you a figure who has it figured out, who has gone through a similar journey like you, and they are now in this perfect destination spot that you are craving to get to. But this is not the truth, because nothing on the internet is the truth. Actively healing from healing, because growing this discernment is very difficult. It's very difficult to come to that balance of seeing clearly what we want, still consuming stuff with balance, but also not comparing ourselves, not feeling like we're underperforming. Fear of underperforming and not maxing out the stats is real. Also, that's kind of what self-improvement is about, you know what I mean? The not balanced type. Basically the entire niche right now, at least. I hope it will change. Making you mad because you are not where they're at. And that acts as a motivation for you to go and do something. It works. It's productive. But long term, it is risky because it hooks you on this addiction to perfecting yourself constantly. It basically stems from ego. Anything that stems from ego is not from love. It's not from acceptance, it's not from God. It's from this human ego space of I need to be perfect or I'm not enough. And it might seem like the masculine figure in the why am I talking about masculinity if it was supposed to be about healing? But let's roll with it. I'm vibing. And it's so extremely unproductive and imbalanced to not have the humility in you to admit that you will never be perfect, that you are constantly growing and evolving, and you're not selling an idea of a destination, but you're providing resources to be guided through a journey. That is actual value. That is the pure authenticity. Okay, let's simplify. Our main issue is feeling like we're constantly underperforming, like we're not enough, because we're constantly comparing ourselves to all these authorities and examples of people who seem to have it figured out because they're selling us a product or their idea of what our life should look like. Digging up old wounds and traumas that could have just been avoided by breathing and not going too deep into rabbit holes into our own mind and not fueling it with fear. Sometimes psyche hiccups are simpler than it seems. Sometimes anxiety just needs to be sat with and not overanalyzed. Analysis in Latin or Greek means recomposing, reconstructing, disconnecting concepts from each other to see each one individually. And meditation in yoga as a word means connecting, means combining, bringing concepts together, merging them. Okay, let's go to the solution, how we can find this balance and not get caught up in our minds and in all these systems that just really want our money and attention. Just accepting the easiest road by fearfully following the safest blueprint. It's sad that we do it, but it's kind of what our fear makes us do. Grow as we go and figure out things as we go instead of overanalyzing every step, because it stresses our body to the point that we get stuck in the freeze response. Physically, our nervous system is like, okay, actually, I don't want to do this now. I'm just too much information. Let's just not. Or you just get lazy because the idea of you in the future, of the destination, seems so far away that it doesn't even motivate you. It just discourages you from even pursuing it. Realizing that you will never get to the destination that you desire, you only will get to the point that God wants you to be, will put you in a humble position of actually producing something and creating and consciously evolving with results, making solutions, actually getting to destinations that are meant for you, not something that you created in your mind and you're fearfully following because of your ego or because of something that someone told you. What we need to do is to detach from authority figures, detach from idols, detach from worshiping an idea of something, and focus on what we want. What does your heart desire? Have you ever sat with yourself and asked yourself, what is your dream? What is your perfect feeling? How do you want to feel in a relationship? What does your business look like? How do you want to make money? Where do you want to spend your vacation? Do you actually want to go to Norway, or do you want to go to Norway because this influencer went to Norway? Is your healing caused by trauma caused by an influencer? Did they create an issue that you're trying to solve with their product? Or was the issue there? Do you see what I mean? We are creating problems that we then pay for them to solve for us. We need to keep our discernment and keep this balanced, peaceful, meditative state at all times. You know, monk mode? It's another subconscious trap, you could call it like that. Over isolating yourself from everything and everyone to heal or to focus on what is within you, to have this straight laser focus on one thing, is also counterintuitive. It does help, logically it works, it shows results, but it's disconnecting you from the entire experience of having a balanced life and growing as you go instead of focusing and overanalyzing each step and each intention, because it's not natural. Look at nature. Yes, it's focused. Yes, it's growing. It's just fluid. Look at an apple. There is a part in one fruit that at a certain point of its growth, requires for the apple to produce something for it to be given life, which is a flower. And there's also a certain point in the evolution of this fruit, which requires for the fruit to produce something that will give this life, which is a seed. We all have both polarities within ourselves, and demanding from our nature to be different will only hurt you more. This is why I say that we need healing from healing culture, overanalyzing each intention and overanalyzing each step, because it leaves us in this frozen position. Another thing that makes us feel worse is authority figures and idols. So detach from the idea that someone is perfect, that someone has it figured out, that someone is in the perfect destination spot, that is perfect for you. It might not even be perfect for them. So what told you that it's perfect for you? Detach from this, and it will liberate you and give you more space to create your own life. And to create your own life, you need to find yourself. You need to become yourself and create this person. And how do you create something? Through experimentation, becoming through constant experimentation and just improvising, just playing with life, becoming a child again, admitting that you don't know. We will always be children under God, humble under God, young thug. We will always be children. Don't care if you're a masculine man or a feminine woman. Admitting that you don't know, that you will never know and you will never reach the perfect destination, that you will constantly be growing, doesn't make you weaker. It only makes you stronger and more humble under God. It gives you more opportunity to grow and makes you more creative and expansive in your expression. To actually enjoy the process and genuinely be in the flow of all of it, you need to experiment and become a child. Inner child work is actually the only thing in the spiritual community that makes sense for me, that genuinely is authentic. You have a lot of questions, but if you don't get an answer, it doesn't make your life less valuable because you can just go and play. It's the simple philosophy of just not knowing and playing and taking it all as it shows up and growing as you go, because you don't need to set intense goals for yourself and feel like you're a failure. It's all been set upon us by all these systems to capitalize on our pain, to capitalize on the trauma that we've also been given. You are perfect in not being perfect. I have a few real-life examples of these kind of people. They really inspire me. Humble, creative, soulful people that just express unapologetically and constantly create and network and communicate. They're just so beautiful to me. They just give me hope. I just want to be alive when I know that these people exist. And it's Heinz, my biggest inspiration creatively, and Hitomi Mochizuki. Also, I've just seen this story that Nico Rasu posted, and I asked him, it was a screenshot of a book by Paulo Coelho. It was The Archer. I'm just gonna read it to you now. Your allies will not necessarily be the kind of dazzling people to whom everyone looks up to and of whom they say, there is none better. On the contrary, they are people who are not afraid of making mistakes and who do therefore make mistakes, which is why their work often goes unrecognized. Yet, they are just the kind of people who transform the world and after many mistakes manage to do something that can make a real difference in their community. They are people who can't bear to sit around waiting for things to happen in order to decide which attitude to adopt. They decide as they act, well aware that this could prove highly dangerous. We've just been created to create and expand and evolve in our creation, and it excites me. I really want to share part of this book that I'm reading. I'm constantly reading it and studying it and analyzing each paragraph because it holds so much depth and meaning for me. Let me show you. When you only find happiness and peace after you've fixed every flaw, mastered every challenge, and are living decidedly in the after part of the picture of your life, you have not resolved anything. You have only reinforced the idea that you cannot be okay until everything is perfect. The truth is that you do not change your life when you fix every piece and call it that healing. You change your life when you start showing up exactly as you are. You change your life when you become comfortable with being happy here, even if you want to go forward. When you treat strangers as well as you do your CEO, and when you manage $1,000 the same way you would $10,000. You change your life when you start doing the truly scary thing, which is showing up exactly as you are. Most of the problems that exist in our life are distractions from the real problem, which is that we are not comfortable in the present moment as we are here and now. So we must heal that first. We must address that initially because everything else builds from it. I genuinely believe that we need healing from healing culture, because if we just all sat in silence with ourselves and tried to understand our deepest desires, our thoughts, our own emotions, if we processed it, if we observed nature and how it works, we would have all figured it out on our own, with no authority figures, with no external models of how our lives should look like. Because all the keys are within you. You are the key, no one else is the key.
You are the key. You are the key. Nothing else is the key. The law of attraction at its finest will always work with the human mind. Anything you want, you can attract. You are the key. You can be more successful than I am. You may have more energy than I do. I am nothing special.